Hey everyone, my name is Matt. Welcome back to our home renovation remodel thing. We are going to be working on the floor here in the office, which is going to be a heated concrete floor. So last time we were down here, we got the grading pretty close to being done. We have a little bit of high spot where the laser was, or is. So we're going to take a little bit more material out of here and then start prepping our floor base stuff, which is going to be the poly and this foam. We're leveling everything. So over here in the corner, we have the footing from the original house, which is a little high. So Donavan just shade that down a little bit so it wouldn't stick up into our floor. What are you doing?
Looking front. Whoa, what is that for? I thought it's floor.
Wow.
Did you plan that?
I planned it. Let's
Don't worry, I got it. Your coffee's right there.
Where's my other cup though?
That's upstairs. I washed it.
Oh, you washed the coffee cup?
Just for you.
That thing I didn't wash in decades.
Oh, there you go.
You get all the patina out of it.
This was like a cast iron pot.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's all the foam laid down. Now the last step we're gonna have in here is to tape the seams with some sheathing tape. This is the first time I've used this stuff for something that's not forming epoxy. So I'm gonna real quick run through and tape all the seams, and this will be all ready for the plumbers to come in and install the Pex. All right, happy Wednesday, everybody. December 15th, we have our plumbing contractor here today to install the Pex into the floor and prep for, pouring this thing. So this is Mike. He's our plumbing guy. He's gonna run us through the install of the Infloor radiant here. So essentially what we're doing is putting in this Pex tube into the floor. Is there anything particularly special about this one, other than it's red?
This PEX tubing it's called heat PEX. It's different than your household PEX that you use for your water. There is a oxygen barrier on this PEX, special barrier to keep oxygen particles from being absorbed into the PEX and into the water. You do in hydronic heating, air is the enemy. We want to make sure that there's no air in there. So this is special. So when doing in-floor heat, you can't just use standard PEX. You have to use heat PEX. It will be labeled heat PEX to let you know that it is for heat, for in-floor heat jobs, and yeah. So that's the specialty of it.
And then for this room, this is like 20 by something. I forget already.
Yeah, 20 by 15, I think.
Somewhere around there. So how do you kind of figure out how much to put on the floor? Is there like a standard like spacing between the
6
rungs?
inches is typical. The manufacturers kind of recommend 6 inches. Any tighter, it's about the tightness bending of the tubing. So if you bend it any tighter, it'll actually kink like so. And so the manufacturer kind of states a radius that it works best for the tubing. 6 inches is what I've been pretty much told by most manufacturers of a 6-inch spacing. Some tube is able to go to a little tighter pattern. As far as heat wise, the 6 inches works out great. When you go to a wider pattern, what typically will happen is as you walk, especially on concrete floors, as you walk by, you'll step down, you'll feel heat, and then your next step, you don't feel heat. There's too much of a gap in between the tubing.
Sure.
It's not so much concrete, you can kind of tell, but concrete, the whole pad heats up, so it is a little harder to tell. Typically, when you do in-floor on
right, which we're gonna do up here eventually too.
When you do in-floor on the wood, that's where you can feel if there's a bigger gap. You can definitely feel where it's cold, where it's warm. You can feel that, so you want to keep those as tight as you can as well to keep the cold spots from being felt.
And is there like a typical maximum length for each loop?
It's dependent on pipe size and pump. The pump has a certain head pressure, how many GPMs it can push at however many footage at a certain pipe size. On an average, most people are going to use a standard pump, which is either a 007 or a UP 1558 pump. You don't want to get over 20 or 225 feet of total length per loop. So if you're running this on a longer stretch, what will happen is that if you might do 3 runs and all of a sudden, or you go down and back 3 times and all of a sudden you're at 200 feet. We need to make your way back and then do and get your loops. Start another loop. Right. So each loop you don't want to get over 225 feet if you can. Some people push it to 250, but 225 is about the max you want to get to. On this particular pipe, it actually tells you the footage. So when you start from a job or from a starting point, you look at the tubing as to where the footage is. Like this one particular here, it says 0 feet. So this is starting from 0. So as we roll the tube out and you keep going down, you get to the next spot. Well, then it says 6 feet. So now you know.
Oh, that's nice.
Approximately where you're at. Now this particular tubing does that. I use mostly this tubing. A lot of heating PEX has gone to that so that you can tell how long the footage is. Otherwise, what you have to do is measure your total length, right, and make sure. But so that's a nice feature in some of these pipes. If you can find some that do have that, that's the best thing to do. Want to make sure that you buy a roll long enough, or kind of want to overbuy when it comes to in-floor. You don't want to have any joints underground.
So we already have the existing kind of system we're going to tie into. So this is going to be, I'm assuming you're putting this on its own zone.
Correct.
And then everything else is going to be tied into one of the existing zones. Later on we do? The upstairs?
The upstairs, will probably be on an existing zone that already is, because there is in-floor heat on another side of the house.
So we're going into concrete here. Is that all that much different than installing into the subfloor later on? Concrete
is a better conductor of the in-floor heat than the stable up method or the channel up method. They're transfer plates. They do a good job with the transfer plates, but the concrete, it kind of acts as one solid radiator.
Right.
and so once you heat the whole slab up, it really does a lot better heat communication with the room. The staple ups work fine, and the transfer plates are very important when you do the staple up method, because that transfer plate takes the heat from the tube and transfers it out to whatever subfloor that you're hooked to, helps transfer that out. And so it does do a good job. You still get kind of the same results, but if there's a better result, it's going to be from the concrete. It's going to be a little more noticeable than, say, on the subfloor.
Right. So then for the install on the concrete, you're just stapling right down to our foam, and then up there we'll have the transfer plates.
You know, the transfer plates, and then what we'll do is we'll put, there'll be, what we like to do is put this, it's a reflective foam or a styrofoam insulating blanket kind of thing. And what we try to do is leave about an inch of gap between the subfloor with the tubes in, and then the reflective foam, to have that little bit of air gap for the heat to transfer up, even through the transfer plates, but any additional heat will force up, and then we'll insulate underneath that to drive the heat up, to make sure that the heat's not radiating down. A lot of people what I found in certain situations where I go to is people fail to insulate underneath, and it does not drive the heat up, and so they're very unhappy with the end results of the Infloor heat that they put in, because the heat's not being driven up through the floor.
All right, so I'm gonna let you guys get to installing. You've already snapped your basically little lines here, so you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
You're just gonna staple that stuff down and start making loops, I guess.
We're gonna get right after it.
Right.
Right now, if you look right here, we are at to this point here
60, 45.
is this right here where my hand is. That's 57 feet.
That goes pretty quickly then.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
I'm guessing the one in the garage doesn't have them that close.
And some people do have a tendency to. So some people will do the tight pattern on the ends and then widen as they get more center in the room, especially in concrete. I don't particularly care to do that, because the last thing I ever want to hear from somebody is that they feel a cold spot.
So you would say it's kind of like a little test manifold?
This is, yeah, and it's not the original, it's not the right, so this is Ray Hall pipe and this is Viega fitting. So for testing purposes, it's fine.
So now Mike's gonna pressurize the system and just check for leaks. I'm assuming that's what you're doing.
Yes. And a smart guy would have brought the compressor.
You know, I have a compressor.
We're this far now.
We're just saying something about having a sweat on the job or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knew I was gonna sweat today?
What test pressure are you trying to get to?
I was trying to get to 50, but 30 is starting to look pretty good. I thought this would go a lot faster. It usually does.
Well, there's how much Pex did you put down? Like 500 feet of it? Some around there?
Yeah, about 500 feet.
That's it, huh?
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it.
Nothing to it. Nothing to this woman.
So now we'll just let this sit for a few days and make sure this holds pressure. We have an inspection tomorrow, and then the concrete pour will be on Monday. So I'll see you in a few days. All right, good morning and happy Monday, everybody. Concrete crew is here today, and we are getting ready to have the concrete get in here. So they have gone around and snapped a chalk line for the finished floor height, which they'll be working towards. Our Pex is still holding pressure, which is good. So we'll keep this pressurized during the pour so that we'll do two things for us. So first of all, if the lines get punctured at all, you immediately know because that gauge will go to 0. And it's also going to make the Pex a little stronger so it can't be collapsed as we're walking over it and pouring concrete over it. You ready for this?
Ready for the pour? I'm gonna supervise this. My full job is
You
supervision.
got your supervisor hat on today?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, concrete pour number 3.
3. Last, maybe, no, may or may not be the last one.
All right, here we go.
Thank you, Rusty. We're gonna try 1 or 2 weeks. Oh, we need a bridge there. We need another board. That'll work right there. Where's that camera? On the board?
you're good. That's perfect. That is perfect. In the corner.
Corner good?
Corner, I need to check again.
Okay.
Just
'cause you can't hit?
Alright, I got it. So I got just out there and then tail view. This line is actually really good. This is just that corner that was. The chalk line? Yeah. Okay.
You guys set like the edges first and get that all set, and then kind of
That's right, yep.
Get it all
the
figured out
edges, and then we'll fill in, then we'll screed it off. Yeah.
it always seems interesting to me because it's a little more challenging than like form work, or like, okay, we got some form boards and streets top of the form. Here you're like, okay, I gotta magically make a reference line somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, like I've done it before. Let's start going to the middle. Yep. Must be doing something right. Good. That's good. I might just need a small shovel. Yeah. Too much. Or something to stick that on?
Where's pancake at?
Good question.
So there it is after first troweling. It was an hour or so before the first one, and then we're doing a little half-hour break again before the next one. Wait again.
A few more minutes.
Looks good.
It's getting there. Yeah,
It already looks pretty good.
it's getting a lot smoother. It's crazy how smooth you can actually get it with these.
Yeah.
You can keep dialing it down until it's like burning in almost this hard, and you can still get cream.
Really?
Pretty cool. It's a little work on the hands, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. And timing's everything.
So
Yeah,
that's kind of like the fuzzy look you're talking about?
Yep, so it's just a little fuzzy now. Oh, there was actually really nice. Back there was a lot wetter than, but that's where we started, kind of typical when we start with
Is
the,
there more water in the
more
concrete
water
there?
seems to come out when you start with the truck.
Okay.
It's
makes
kind of
sense.
typical. They might have added a gallon or so of water
Oh.
before we started.
Mhm.
And then it seems like a lot of it just, if he doesn't mix, it doesn't totally get down to where it needs to be. And it seems like the concrete will set up almost backwards because of that. So this will get firmer than that.
Which is weird because like this was
Right.
put in last.
It depends on the temperature too. It feels like it might be chillier back there too,
Oh,
where
yeah.
the heat's kind of coming through here and then maybe escaping.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit of what you can see, that little bit of shine there. And
Yeah.
back there was,
Well, it's cool. Like when you go around, like the color
yeah.
changes
Yep,
as you're
yep.
going.
And that's
Like,
kind of what
I
you
can
look
see
like.
where you've touched already.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what you look for the finish too. And when you're, your first pass, I can tell right where guys have gone. You know what I mean? Just because of
Yeah.
different color and different techniques of their trowel even. But yeah, once it'll lose that sheen kind of, and then we'll try to get back on it. Hopefully it's there, but it's crazy how, you start out with these pouring it. This is like almost like what that screed board is. It's the same stuff, smoothness. It's kind of just flattening it out. That's what we use this for, flattening it all out, and this smooths everything over the top. And then you can really find the holes. Like some of them, they're real minute, minor, or it's just millimeters. You know what I mean? Not even.
Yeah.
So that's why we use this the first pass, because it'll take all the big ones out. This one will find the fine ones, and this will help me scrub out anything that's, when it gets hard, the concrete will get hard actually, but I can still push and scrub with this thing until it's almost like rock hard, like where you won't even leave a footprint. But I can still get cream out of it. But it's all in the technique. It's a lot of down pressure and just figuring out the tools. I've been doing this for a little while, so I kind of can finish it all and make it look pretty much like a burnt floor if I want. It's actually really fun when you're on a bigger floor and we use a power troweling machine.
Yep.
And it's fun to just follow that behind it because it looks like everything is hit by hand, but it's burnt in, and it's so crisp and fine, and it looks really cool. It's always been my favorite to finish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the troweling machine does most of the work. You just got to hit the wall lines real good by hand. And then when it's ready, I mean, it'll be like butter. And all I just sit out there and try to keep up to the troweling machine with the skates. It's pretty fast. Pretty cool. And you learn a lot that way too, just going behind the trowel machine, because you can get it by hand even without the trowel machine. You can do it. It's just a lot of work on the body. It can be, but timing, if you do it right, it's not that hard. The first pass is crucial. Once you get that first pass dialed in, the rest of it kind of smooths out like butter. And same with the pour too. Like a lot of companies or guys, when they pour, they don't like to close it all the way up, which it just makes it more difficult for the finisher. The bowl floor has to try to fill them holes. The floor ain't flat. You know what I mean?
Oh, right, yeah.
But the less that bowl flow has to do, the floor is going to be flatter. You know what I mean? So I try to get it as flat as possible. Walking out of there, like you don't even need to bowl float it hardly. We could get by with just going out there and scrubbing it if we wanted to.
Right.
It'd be pretty much, you know what I mean? Where some guys, they wouldn't even use a rod board sometimes. They just try to rake it all out and
Oh, wow.
maybe use their laser, and then they have this other thing called a jitterbug, and it looks like a basket weave type thing on the bottom. It's just got a bunch of holes. It's a plate, kind of like this with handles, but it's got holes in there, dimples, and it's designed to knock the rock down but bring the cream up. And it does really work for basements when for finishing wise. It makes it a little bit creamier, nicer, fuzzier. But if you don't get that thing flat with that, and you don't actually close it up with the bowl float after, it just seems to be a pain in the ass. I've seen floors where they left it, and you're just scrubbing these little knobs, you know what I mean, of cream, and then scrub them all down, and you get it pretty flat, and you can get it to look kind of like that, but you'll still see these dimply marks. That's from the jitterbug, actually. Some guys swear by it, though. They won't do any floor without it. Like, it's not that hard. I finished the full floors. Almost there. The edges are pretty much dialed in.
Yeah.
Just need to get the middle and feather into the edges now. But we're getting down to the finer cream. That's good. Well, this pass will actually go quicker. It should go a lot quicker setting up for in between time, and the pass alone should be quick. Just pretty much fan it out, find the little holes and fill them in.
Yeah, the edges look pretty good.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there, and this is
It's crazy what a difference it makes just from the last time.
You know, and just these. That's what we use. It's just a piece of tin. Pretty crazy. And kind of cool how it gets so. I mean, you can almost get it like glass, even by hand.
Yeah, it's
not far
pretty damn close already.
Yeah, it's not far off. But yeah, it was just a little wet back there, and kind of towards the edge, but the middle felt nice. And then right here's a little wet too. Let's go.
That's some fancy footwork.
I used to have a better pair that you didn't have to stick your feet in here like this, and it was a nice, they already had pre-cushioned in there.
Oh, that's
Knee
nice.
pads in there, it was all ready to go. The back section tipped up a little bit more, and the front's tipped up a little bit. We had a truck that was stolen from our shop a few years ago, and they were in it, and I can't find a pair. I had them pair for like 15 years probably, or 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
best pair I've ever seen, ever had. Everybody else was wearing through theirs. They couldn't find. They like a lot of times these will stick, and the concrete gets firmer. It starts getting sticky, and if you're not careful, the whole scale stick. Where I that pair would never stick. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I got these pair. I'm almost to where I like them, but I still got to use the stupid knee pads, and my foot gets stuck in here. If you want to get really crazy, we could hit it again.
You're the crazy one. I was watching. Even from last time, what a big change.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
Just from the couple passes, I mean, it really does start to take off. And the cream just gets finer and finer and finer.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can go really fine with that steel edge, you know what I mean? That's razor sharp damn near. If I wanted it to be I've had them razor sharp. And I've had them look like see how it's already hourglassing?
Uh-huh.
I've had them come like that before.
That's crazy. That much.
Where there's barely nothing in here. Same with a burner. And actually one of these, I've had this so thin. And so
You just wear right through it.
Yep. A couple years after, and yep.
Oh, all right. I'll try to get on these.
I just gotta wash this stuff up and we're out of here.
Okay.
Enjoy your floor.
So I have to say, one of the things that you kind of take for granted is having an actual floor, because it is crazy what a difference having not dirt floors can do. It really just transforms the space into, I mean, it's not quite finished space yet, but it feels way, way more finished than it did not too long ago. So a big thank you to Mike and Christian from Barnes Plumbing for taking us through the Pex install. Mike is going to be back here quite a bit because there's actually a lot more plumbing that's going to be happening here. So you'll see more of him in the future. And a big thank you to the guys at Unlimited Concrete Concepts for doing a nice, amazing job on the floor. They had the concrete down and placed in 45 minutes from the time the truck pulled up to the time they were floating out the door. And then Dan, who did a ridiculously awesome job hand troweling the floor, was here until I think 3 o'clock, so about 4 hours after the pour was done, hand troweling this and leaving us with just an amazing, amazing finish on here. It was so cool to watch him work and learn about the process of hand troweling concrete to get a finish like this, which the skill that he has to do this, it's just incredible. So I love watching that. So thank you, Dan, for taking the time to be here and deal with all my questions. So that's going to do it for this one. That is the office floor. This is like an actual usable space now. As you can see, we have, this is a material staging area now. And yeah, it's great. So this will be the finished office space. In the future, next time, we're going to be back in the house. We're going to start on the new kitchen space. So we'll be expanding our existing area out into our additions we did in the fall, and that's going to be a heck of an adventure. So thank you as always for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments on the home addition, renovation, or remodel thing, or anything back in the shop, please feel free to leave me a comment. As always, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have, and until next time, happy woodworking.